Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris the Dime One, and I'm back with another video. You know what you gotta do: rate, comment, subscribe. Do not forget to hit the notification tab so it'll let you know when my next video or live stream goes down. All right. So I kind of wanted to do this video a couple of days ago about Kawhi Leonard, the best likely scenario for Kawhi Leonard to go to, where they have two options. And I'm gonna get at that at close to the end of the video. I'm not gonna make this a video extremely long. But where will Kawhi Leonard go? That's the answer that everyone wants to know. That's the question that everyone wants to know the answer to. And there's like three teams that are hoping and praying that Kawhi Leonard lands. Now, Toronto, they can offer him the most money. And to be perfectly honest with you, I would love to see Kawhi Leonard go back with the Toronto Raptors, and then that will make the NBA landscape more competitive. Because, like I said a couple of days ago, before anyone else spoke of this, and now I've been, checking it out. Now everybody's, riding my wave, so to say. It'll make the NBA next season will be more competitive. Clearly, there's 5 teams in the East that has the opportunity to make it to the NBA Finals, and I feel like you have 6 teams in the West that likewise have an opportunity to make it to the NBA Finals. It's not going to be what you've been noticing for the past 5 or 6 years, where it's either the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James or the Golden State Warriors. More so the Golden State Warriors. It was always 2 or 1 of those teams that were going to make it to the end to win the chip. And the Golden State Warriors would have won the chip. Okay, it's not a large part, but it was partially the part of a lot of injuries they just could not overcome. It was one thing they lost Boogie, then they lost Kevin Durant they lost Kevin Durant, and then they lost Klay Thompson. And when you lose that many players, I mean, it's hard to overcome those obstacles. Okay, I don't care what type of team you have. Okay, so it's it's a competitive balance, and we haven't had this in a long time, where technically anybody can win the NBA championship. There are no front runners. Everybody has their usual suspects: the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers, if they can get Kawhi Leonard. Even without Kawhi Leonard, they're still a good team. And you got the Philadelphia 76ers. So you have a lot of teams, that are the usual suspects. But this is the first time, like I said, where you have like 11, possibly 12 teams that can win the title. Okay, so Kawhi, could go back to Toronto and keep it competitive. Okay, or he can go to the Clippers and try to go to the Clippers and and I feel like they'll be an average team. They're not going to be as good as the Toronto Raptors. Or he could go to the Lakers and pair up with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Okay, I feel like the most logical conclusion he should go to, and this should not even be drawn out, is him returning to the Toronto Raptors. I feel like the Lakers, whatever money they have left available, they should spread that, divvy it out, and get other players that they really do need. Because when even if they do get Kawhi, they're not going to be able to get anyone else, that Kawhi or LeBron or Anthony Davis, due to low management can sit out a few games, or Anthony Davis, he's always known to be injured. You'll have somebody on the bench where he can be somewhat serviceable. And if they do sign Kawhi, if you look at what little money that they have, you're gonna have Kawhi, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James, and then there's a fall off. But if you go ahead and I felt like if they would have went on and spent that money, they could have gotten Seth Curry, but the Mavericks got him. Okay, they could have possibly got JJ Redick, but the New Orleans Pelicans got him. There was a lot of players on the board that are already signed that they could have gotten, and they would have been a good team with just LeBron James. But this notion of let's do the super team thing, which you ever notice when a team is building a super team, how LeBron James is always on that team? And I'm not trying to throw no LeBron James. I'm just saying for some fact, I really think LeBron is pushing this narrative of let's form a super team. We can be the Miami Heat on steroids if we can get Kawhi Leonard, which is all fine and dandy. But LeBron should be the first one to know how. Yeah, it's great to have a super team, but it's better to have a team where if you need to miss time due to load management or injuries, that team should be able to keep their heads above water. When LeBron James went down with the Lakers, it was hard for those kids to keep their heads above water. So this super team notion, you don't really necessarily need a super team. You just need to be smart enough to draft the right players and to sign the right players. But that's neither here nor there. If that's what they want to go to, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. I feel like Kawhi is going to go back to Toronto, and I'm going to tell you why. One, the East is so much easy, okay, where you can miss multiple games. He can miss the same amount of games he missed last year, and they'll still be going into the playoffs, rather than him going to the West, missing all that time. And there's a possibility that you might not make it to the playoffs, because you can't take so much time off in the West and still make it to the playoffs. Because like I said, there's 6 teams that can compete in the West. And there are some teams on the cuff that has an opportunity to sneak in and get that 7th and 8th seed. And I'm talking about the Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns. I feel like the Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings are going to be, competing for those last 2 spots. So you can't, you just can't just say, well, I'm just gonna miss like 4 or 5 games here in this on this road stretch, and I'll be good to go. Y'all should be all right. You can't have someone miss so much significant time on injuries. And I feel like Anthony Davis, with all that time off with the New Orleans Pelicans, I feel like he's going to get nagging injuries this year, because he really hasn't. Next year, because he really hasn't tested his body, and on a competitive level last year, because the Pelicans did not want him to get, so they would start him. Well, at first they wasn't starting him. They were just letting him sit until the NBA got in and said, look, he's not injured, so he should be able to play. And then they started starting him, but he only played like a few minutes here in the first quarter. Then they just let him sit down. So I feel like I feel like Anthony Davis is going to have some nagging injuries where he's not, uh, you know, competing. But I feel like when he wasn't competing this year, excuse me, and I also feel like LeBron James, he's getting older. So you're not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to be the Iron Man where he's going to play every single game. You're going to have to rest him down due to his age. You don't want him to tear something or pull something. So that which leaves if you get Kawhi Leonard, you're expecting Kawhi Leonard to handle most of the load. He's younger than LeBron. He doesn't have a medical list of injuries such as Anthony Davis, or known to miss a lot of games due to injuries. And because you can't just let all three of them sit. That's why I feel like he's ultimately going to go back to Toronto Raptors. He could go to the Clippers. And the Clippers have a decent team, but I don't think when you compare it to the Toronto Raptors, I don't see a comparison there. I think the Toronto Raptors roster is a lot better than the Clippers roster. Plus, you're in the East. You can pretty much be on cruise control and still be able to make it to the playoffs versus going to the East, going through all those juggernauts and trying to take some games off where there's a possibility that you might not make it to the playoffs. Okay, so I feel like the logical conclusion for Kawhi Leonard is to go to the Raptors. It'll be one thing if he had this, and here's another thing a lot of people are not factoring. It'll be one thing if Kawhi Leonard was like LeBron James and Kevin Durant, where they got these huge, enormous shoe deals from Nike, where they got other outside influences out there, outside of basketball, where they're making money. Kawhi is not that type of guy. He's just not built that way. And this will be his first major big time contract. He never got it with the Spurs. He had an opportunity to get it, but he wanted to be traded from the Spurs. So it's hard even though it's 40 more million, the Lakers and the Clippers can offer him 141 million. But the Toronto Raptors can offer him 190 million. And even though it's an extra 40 million, that means a lot. Plus, you're going to be on a team that's going to be competing from years to come, because the Toronto Raptors drafted those players. They didn't, traded. They didn't, got these players from other teams. These are hometown grown players that they drafted. And they took a page from the Golden State Warriors, where we're going to draft players that's going to help our team, and then we'll just try to be in the running to sign one of these big name players like Kawhi Leonard, be in a draft like that, where the Spurs had no problems trading him to Toronto because they didn't want to see him 4 times. They don't want to play against him in the West. It was easier to move him to the East. And I feel like while they was doing that, they was really benefiting Kawhi Leonard. I feel like that's the only route that Kawhi Leonard has to take. I don't know why it's drawing out, and by every day that it draws out, that's more and more money that these other two teams are not going to have, because eventually they're going to have to sign somebody, okay? Particularly the Lakers. They don't really have a lot of players, okay? So eventually they're going to have to sign some of these players, because these players are going to move on. Real fast, real quick on Boogie Cousins. If free agency would have went the way I expected it was going to went, which the first day was going to be slow, and then you start slowly but surely picking up, like around this time, I felt like Boogie would have been already signed. But since that that first day of free agency, which was Sunday, and you saw all them. You saw a lot of teams spending a lot of money real fast, real quick. All that money is evaporated. Boogie is looking for a max deal. He hasn't had a max deal in a while, and even though he was chasing the ring with the Golden State Warriors, he should have went on and signed that contract with the Pelicans, even though he would have gotten a max offer. But the Pelicans, if they, but just think about it. Hindsight being 2020, if the Pelicans would have had the #1 pick and they would have signed Zion Williams, even though he would have signed that max contract, the Pelicans would have been looking around to see if they can shop Boogie Cousins to somebody else, because you got Zion Williams. Or if they would have signed Boogie to a long-term extension, and Anthony Davis left anyway, but he still played some games. And if they would have won a couple of games here, a couple of games there, they would not be even in the draft to even get Zion Williams, which possibly the New York Knicks would have possibly got Zion Williams and gotten the #1 pick. So that's how the ball bounced, sort of say. So there's not major money for Boogie Cousins. I feel like he's going to have to sign another another mid-level extension contract, a 1-year deal, to prove himself once again. I thought he did a lot of amazing. I thought he did pretty good with the Golden State Warriors. Okay. And I was shocked that they were not interested in signing him. And really, if you look at the signings Golden State Warriors did, they signed Glenn Robertson Jr. They also signed someone who was a backup to Boogie Cousins. So, and he's a little younger than Boogie Cousins. And then Looms, they also signed Looms. I think it was a 3-year, $15 million deal. He could have gotten something bigger outside free agency. So he clearly wants to stay with the Golden State Warriors, and they're going to take care of him, and sign him to a longer length contract. And I think they got something amazing with him. But they already got their big men, and Boogie Cousins, LaVale McGee, he signed a 1-year deal with the Lakers. There's gonna be a lot of big men in this market that are going to be looking for teams to go to, and I think Boogie Cousins probably going to land. He's probably going to land on a team that they're they're not going to be able to be competing for the playoffs. He's probably going to have to sign and with the Bulls, or sign with I'm trying to think of teams that realistically have no possibility of making it to the playoff, or maybe go to the Atlanta Hawks, and that, and then him with that young core talent, never know, they might make it to the playoffs. So the money is dried up. And it's not Boogie Cousins' fault. It's just a simple fact of how the market moved. Okay, but I feel sorry for him. He did pretty good this year. He did pretty good in the postseason. But ultimately, he's going to land a job. He's just not going to get the money that he wanted. Okay. Well, that's all I got for today. Guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Chrissy Dom 1, and I am out. I'm out. Doot.